morning. I'm in the Vauxhall shed today, messing around with the rear lights. I found the brake lights weren't working, but that was merely a case of changing this rather ancient pull switch to another switch. So that's done. That was under the floor in the front, and I won't bore you with it. However, on closer inspection, these rubber lights are coming to pieces. I fitted them about 20 years ago, and I know I taped around the back here to hold the lens in a while back because they're beginning to split. But the bulb's coming out now, and the other one is not much better. So I've decided to replace them. It should have a luggage rack here, but that was removed a few years ago. I replaced it with this very expensive looking tow bar, which is made out of, as you can see, a piece of 4x2 and a piece of studding and a few nuts and washers. We used it to tow the Aronco back to the airfield once we changed the engine. I'll post a picture somewhere about there. And it was all rather successful, really. It cost all of twopence to make, took 10 minutes, and we had a lovely time towing it back to the airfield. Anyway, let's take the wooden piece off to start off with. Well, now that wooden tow bar's out of the way, we can see that this lamp is actually split quite badly here, and is, well, it'll come away. There we are. So it's all a bit knackered. I'm going to take the lights off now, take the lamps off, and then I have bought some new LED lamps on Amazon. So they're in the workshop. We'll go inside and unbox them and see how good they are. The rubber lights have been reduced to produce. I've kept the useful coloured perspex, might come in handy for something. Bulb holders and the whatnot. They can all go in the electrical associated box of nonsense under the bench and never be used again, probably just clutter the place up. The rest of them gone in the bin. Anyway, time to unbox these. I bought a couple of lamps off Amazon. Just use my trusty knife. This tool is probably possibly the most useful tool ever invented. It's a sort of first aid kit for a gentleman, really. Small knife, corkscrew, bottle opener, and some other kind of can opener. It's perfect, really. Anyway, through the tape, and let's have a look. Now, these were advertised as motorcycle rear lights. They're sort of quite vintage looking, slightly American, I suppose. So there we are. It's a bobber rear light. Now I'm not a motorcyclist, but I think a bobber is a motorbike with a cut off tail or something, a bit like a Manx cat, but don't tell my cat that. Anyway, they're quite vintage looking. I rather like them. I quite like hot rods and things anyway, and sort of go jobs in the old fashioned sort of Model A and Model T style from the States. So I'm sort of inclined towards these. Maybe they're a bit racy for the Vauxhall, but I rather like them. Anyway, they're made out of ABS, so they're meant, well, if it is ABS, you never know. Good Chinese quality. It probably means Alibaba's best stuff or something. Anyway, let's see how bright they are. I've got a 12-volt battery on the bench here, so let's test them. Now, in motoring wiring, so I understand, anything black is earth, and anything else is live of some sort. So I'm going to try black and yellow. Well, that's pretty. and then black and red. Oh yeah, so I think that's brighter actually, so I think that must be the brake part of it. Black and red and black and yellow again. So that's good. It's also interesting to see that I was rather hoping that actually stop might light up separately to the normal tail light, but that was probably wishful thinking given that they were about £3 on Amazon. They do have a number plate lighting portion as well, and of course if they're on the motorcycle they'd be like so. I don't know whether you can read the stop there. I'll try and angle the doodah a bit. Anyway, it's stop in the top there, and of course the number plate would be down here. Now I want to put them on the car each end of the number plate, which really means putting them on sideways. So I thought about taking that off and turning it, but I'm thinking I probably won't bother now actually. I think I'm just going to take them next door and see how they look on the job. Make some very simple brackets to just bolt through the 2 screws on the back and bolt them on and wire them in and be done. I went and tried the lamps on the back of the car, and they look good. And I realised actually that the old brackets that I had just consigned to the waste bin were actually not far off what I want, but the holes are too big. I only need to use 1 bolt. There's no reason to actually use 2. These things weigh nothing. They weigh ounces. They're even lighter and flimsy than they look. But obviously the hole is a bit too big. You can see that there. So what I'm going to do, I've got an offcut of EN8, of course, left over on the bench from mending the magneto the other day. So I'm going to just turn up a couple of sort of top hat washers, basically. A couple of top hat washers from this, and just push them into place. And in fact I might even sweat them in with some Sif bronze as well with the oxyacetylene. That'll keep them in place. Repaint the brackets and bolt them on. There's no point making the job any more difficult than it needs to be. These weigh ounces, and so 1 of these done up tight will be fine. And in fact I can stick the other nut on behind the first one as a lock nut. I might have some stiff nuts of the right size. I think they're 6mm, so I'm going to go that way and not make the job any more difficult than it needs to be. That's the little top hat bush machined up. Obviously I machined 2 of them, but you didn't want another 43 seconds of pain. So I'm going to Sif bronze them in, and then the light will fix. The idea is the light will sit. I'm probably going to drop it now and lose it, but it will go like so through just 1. Anyway, if I Sif bronze it on, I'll show you. Cleaned up, bolted on, and time to try on the car. I've just bolted the brackets on temporarily, so let's try each light. It's only temporary because they need painting, and I need to mess around with the wiring. I've also cleaned up the end of the chassis just here on each one, so because that's where the old lights were earthed to seem to work all right. So do the same again. So that one goes there. This one, this bracket. To loosen the spot lamp as well because it just collides. So I'm just going to mess around with the bracket slightly, maybe move it sideways. I fitted that because when I first had the car going, I headed off one night on a test run down the lanes. The headlights were hopeless. I didn't have a torch. I went so far and then needed to turn around. Of course I couldn't see a thing when I went backwards, so I remembered I had some cheap plastic spotlights I picked up at an auto jumble, so I stuck one on there and I stuck the other one on a great long wander cord with a switch. It just goes straight on the battery with a pair of crocodile clips. So, and actually at the time I bolted it through the front dumb iron, so I had a decent headlight going forwards and a decent reversing light. But I subsequently rebuilt the headlights, so it's a kind of very useful wander lamp, lives in the car. So those lights are good. Just move the bracket, paint these. And whilst the paint's drying, I'll have a mess around with the wiring of the old lamps, work out which is brake, which is rear light, and then we can wire in the new lamps. We'll be done. Painted the brackets and bolted everything on. I'll see if the switch and the actual lights work. So I'm just going to very crudely join the wires together and see what works and what doesn't. I've got the lamp earthed through the back of the bracket just like the old one was. So it's reds to reds for all the brake lights. Let's use a joiner block. That's an easy, it might end up being the permanent solution, but let's just do it like this for a moment. Purple should be the tail light and the yellow is the tail light. So let's shove that in there. Look like they've been done up. Let's undo them. I'm still intrigued to see as to whether it was the switch causing the brake light problem. I think it was. I did test the old one with the voltmeter and it appeared to be dead. Right, let's go and turn the lights on, see if anything happens. Okay, so that's the tail light working. Let's go and try the brake pedal, see what happens. Well, they seem to work okay. That's excellent. I didn't film my wiring. My wiring is to some what Vauxhall poetry is to others, so I felt it was best just not filmed. Anyway, it's done, so let's test the lights. Well, I reckon that's a success. I will take it out at night and we'll look at the lights on a night drive at some point. Anyway, thanks for watching. See you soon.